Hello and welcome to my very first writing lesson video. I'm going to try and keep these as short and sweet as possible. Okay, so that these are just little aids, tips and tricks, little lessons from one amateur writer to all of those out there who might not be quite as far along the path as I am. Just perhaps for those looking for a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of direction in how you go about doing your writing. Just trying to help other people out here. So, this first video is on ideas. Having ideas. Well, the simple truth is that I can't tell you how to have an idea, of course. But what I can do is kind of help you get into more of a frame of mind for having ideas. Okay? And accepting ideas. And I'm going to give you some tips right now on just things that I have found to be very useful bits of advice, tips and tricks sort of thing. Okay, my first one is that there is no such thing as a bad idea. Okay, any idea that you think that could be a story, it can be a story. You see, what you might run into of a problem is that you might have bad timing. See, there's no bad ideas there, but there is bad timing. See, because writing stories, writing fiction, has a lot to do with life, experiences, living life, getting older. Every day of your life adds to the collective experience of what's in your head, who you are, and all of that kind of informs how you write and what you write about, which is why younger writers tend to not be as good as older writers because they haven't lived as much. It's not universally true, of course, but that is kind of a bit of a truth to that, Not universally, but it does tend to be that younger writers just have not lived life enough to write as well and about as many things, of course, as older writers. So, just because you may not be able to get anywhere with an idea you've had now, doesn't mean you won't be able to get somewhere with it in a few years. So, have a folder. Be it on your computer with just text files, have a physical folder with just things you've written down inside of it. I have piles, well, not piles necessarily, but a big pile of notebooks that I just, I like to do RPG characters and storylines just, to kind of try and keep my imagination and creativity as sharp as possible. It's just something I do for leisure, for fun. I'll get out some of my old RPG books, role-playing game books, and make a character, and then I'll create a history for that character, But I don't throw that stuff away. I just have it in my notepads, because I can always go back to those characters, and just because it's based around a role-playing game does not mean I can't take something out of what I've done there and turn it into a story based on something of my own. Okay. Plus, I write down all kinds of my own ideas, original ideas. Uh, I just keep notepads around, so I always have something to write on. Okay, which is my second piece of advice: is not only do you want to never throw any ideas away, you just save them somewhere. Try to always have something with you: pad and pen, notebook app, on a phone, something. Always have something with you that if you have an idea pop into your head, you can save it. Because there's only one thing, to me, there's only one thing worse as a creative person than having an idea and forgetting what it was. Because you remember that you had the idea, and it will bug the fuck out of you. Sorry, yes, I do cuss, but it will bug the fuck out of you because you'll remember that you had an idea, but you can't remember what the idea was. Sometimes you get lucky and something will spark the mind and you'll remember, but a lot of times you just remember that you had the idea, but you can't remember for the life of you what the damn idea was, and it's irritating as hell. The only thing worse is losing your work, which is my third piece of advice. Back up, back up, back up, back up, back up. Okay? Because losing your work is the ultimate and fucked up situation for any creative person. Okay? The only thing worse than losing ideas is losing things you've actually been working on. So, back things up on computer if you can. If you're working on a computer, print stuff off and save it as a hard copy. Burn to discs. Keep it on flash, thumb drives. More than one computer if you have it. If you have access to the money, get a lockbox at a bank at the bank you bank with, or just a bank, and keep copies in the lockbox. If you have a really good friend you can trust to take care of it for you, leave copies with them. Okay? But always, always, always back up your work in as many different ways and in as many different places as you possibly can. Okay, you can even send your stories to yourself with emails and private messages on websites, forums, and stuff. Okay? All you have to do is, just have 2 email accounts or 2 forum accounts and just message yourself or email yourself the stories and stuff. And, especially using like Google or Yahoo, they're not likely to go anywhere anytime soon, so that gives you a place to store your stuff. For free, even. Okay. So those are my tips and tricks, my advice for ideas and dealing with ideas. Okay. Now, what you can do to get yourself into a better frame of mind for having ideas is you need to observe more. You need to look at the things around you and kind of take things in. Just go to a park, or go to someplace where someplace in your city or town where there's benches and you can people watch with a notepad. And just observe life for a little while. Walk around. It's about having an open mind and letting things go into your head and, ferment, bubble around and combine, and eventually, bubble, 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 something will come up to the surface and you'll have an idea. Okay? Now, if you're finding it real hard to come up with ideas, there are websites out there that have random generators for different stuff with writing prompts and challenges. My favorite one is seventhsanctum.com. Okay? It's an excellent website. It is packed full of different random generators for writers and gamers, pen and paper gamers, that can help you with a lot of different things, because let's face it, not everybody's going to be good at the same stuff. Me, I have trouble with names sometimes, so I love Seventh Sanctum because they have name generators. Even one of them is just regular people's names, nothing fancy. It's just a big list of all the common, or the most popular first, middle, and last names, are most common and popular, and then it just randomly combines them together. So if all you're doing is wanting to come up with a list of character names, just regular people's character names, it's an awesome tool, because you can get whole lists and just look through and pick out the ones that actually sound like the character you're creating. Or that you just like, or just do it completely at random. And then, it's awesome having that tool there. It even has tools for helping you come up with, like, traits for characters and settings, all sorts of stuff. seventhsanctum.com, excellent website for anyone who has any trouble at all coming up with ideas for anything to do with writing, pretty much. It doesn't have everything, but it has a lot. And if they don't have what you need, just look up whatever it is you're wanting to find something for, random generator, and chances are you'll probably find it. Okay. Tail end of this. Where do you draw the line between getting inspired by something and just ripping it off? Well, I guess that's going to be personal to you. But for me, it kind of comes down to how you use it. And there's a lot to it that it's just how it feels to me and how it seems like you're using something. You know, yeah, I mean, it's okay if you rewrite something. Because, I've done, like, Jeff the Killer and one or two other creepypastas. The original stories, the seed of the idea is okay. But the execution, very poor. So I just rewrote my own versions. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you are upfront about it. Don't try and pass it off as your original idea. I say up front, I'm just rewriting this because I didn't like the original that much. I wanted, I could not read the original Jeff the Killer without wanting to rewrite the whole damn thing, so I did. So that's fine. And a story I'm working on right now is kind of based around the Batman Arkham games, the newer games, a little bit. It's just little bits and pieces that I thought would make an interesting story that I pulled out along with some other superhero fiction stuff. And like I said, I just took that stuff in, it fermented in my head and bubbled, and an idea bubbled up, and I'm going to do a story based around it. It's going to be my own characters, my own world. It's just going to use some little bits and pieces out of those games, and like Teen Titans and some other stuff, and I'm going to use that to create my own story. That's fine. That's being inspired by something. But if all I was going to do is just take, like, the plot line from one of those games whole and just rewrite the whole thing, see, to me that's not okay. That's just ripping something off. Or just taking an event from history and basically just kind of rewriting your own stuff into it. You see, that's just ripping things off to me. It's all in how you apply your imagination to the thing that's inspired you. Just ripping off an entire plot line or something, that's not cool. But just using bits and pieces to create the seeds of a story that you grow yourself, that's cool. But, of course, you'll have to figure out for yourself where you draw the line. Okay, final part of this. There is a homework assignment attached to all of these videos. This one is pretty simple. Okay. I'm going to use a prompt for you. It's a writing prompt. This is kind of something that's supposed to set off the story. It's an idea. A very loose idea, and you need to write a story based around it. Okay, here is the prompt. I live for science, but would die for fame. Once again, I live for science, but would die for fame. Okay, and it must incorporate the following plot devices. A guy, a girl, a bottle of barbecue sauce, and a jar of peanut butter. Okay, another time just to make sure you got it. A guy, a girl, a bottle of barbecue sauce, a jar of peanut butter, and the prompt is, I live for science, but would die for fame. Okay. And one last thing here, no erotica or hard R content, my hosting doesn't allow it. Okay, violence of course is fine, just nothing sexual. Modern PC stuff being what it is, you get weird dichotomies of what's acceptable and what isn't. No hate speech, of course. Basically, your general forum rules apply on this because I want you to post this to my forum after you get done. The link will be in the description. to the thread that I want you to post in, which is where I've posted the original lesson of this, okay? So, thank you for watching. Give me that upvote, that's always appreciated. Subscribe so you know when I put up new videos. Leave a comment asking any questions, I'll do my best to answer. And if you have any other subjects you would like me to cover, I do have a whole list already, but if I don't have your topic on my list, I will do my best to cover it for you in another video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.